Welcome back to the Buds in the Box YouTube channel. Today's topic of discussion is should the Leafs re-sign Reilly or should they not? But before we get started and talk about that, I just want to give a quick plug to our sponsors, the People's Cup. They have these awesome Stanley Cup shaped beer glasses, and you can drink your beer on this side, and when you flip it upside down, you can drink shot glasses. It has the Maple Leafs logo, and they have all 31 teams, maybe 32 when Seattle comes into the league. So make sure you guys go check that out. Use code BUDS15 for 15% off. And now, what you've all been waiting for, should the Leafs resign, or sorry, should they trade Reilly? Felly, you can go first.
My answer is pretty simple. They should trade him. The reason that I say that is Reilly is the type of player that for 1 year is easily replaceable in terms of what's out on the market right now. He's at the highest of value that he's ever been. He's in his prime. He's a pending UFA after this 1 year, but so is Dougie Hamilton, and so is Seth Jones. There are trade. There are guys that they could trade for, and the reason I say this is, and even if you don't trade for a big name, trade for picks or something, because Reilly could very well walk. And I said this in the last video too, or one of the last videos, is it's just better to get something than just to let him walk, right? If he's gonna walk anyways, you may as well get something for it, right? So maybe doing something like the Leafs, something that can benefit them. So maybe they trade Reilly for a guy like Darcy Kemper, and they get Kemper, a couple picks, and they trade Reilly away, right? So Reilly is worth Kemper and a few picks. And looking at it that way, that is way more beneficial for the Leafs this coming year and the future, rather than just having Reilly walk off in free agency, right? So, and that being said, also this year there are replacements for Reilly on the market. Also pending UFAs. Seth Jones and Dougie Hamilton are both pending UFAs and could easily be traded for Reilly. So it could just be a change of scenery if you were to do that, or a guy like Darcy Kemper, who would be really valuable in terms of goalie depth. That way you don't have to sign a goalie, and you would get picks along with it and prospects. So all those options to me seem like the right way to go. Frees up cap space by doing that as well for free agency next year, in terms of getting a guy like Hamilton or Jones in the coming year, something like that, right? So that's what I think.
Jude, did you were you thinking the same as Felly, or do you think that Reilly should keep him, or we should keep Reilly for this year?
Well, yeah, well, thanks, Eric. But I personally think that Morgan Reilly should stay a Toronto Maple Leaf, and I think that for multiple different reasons. And just off the bat, I'm gonna say, as Leaf fans know, as most people who keep up with hockey know, that the Leafs kind of have the untouchable four, right? We know who they are. I don't even need to list them as the forward group, and I personally think that you could make them maybe five and say that Morgan Reilly is a part of those guys. I think they don't want to move him, and as much as I want to agree with Felly, I don't think that they're going to want Reilly to walk. I think they're going to re-sign him next year. So depending on where he is at next year, I think Felly is right about his, I guess his kind of like how valuable he is right now. But I mean, look at this year, right? 35 points in 55 games. That's pretty unbelievable, and that's gonna get you places, right? The only thing is to kind of side with Felly is there's a big stat that stands out to me as a goalie and as someone who knows and and honestly who's kept up with Vegas. And I mean, you look at Alec Martinez, the leading shot blocking defenseman for the past couple years. I'm pretty sure it's been, um, and he almost averages 100 block shots. He had over 100 block shots this year in 50 games. And look at Reilly, who's had almost like he's had almost 700 in his whole career. So I mean, like just putting that into perspective, what like when it comes down to crunch time, is Reilly really laying out on the line and really putting it all in? And that's where I kind of agree with Felly. Maybe you can get someone like Seth Jones who would, or Hamilton who would lay it all on the line for a Stanley Cup.
The thing about it, yeah, is that in terms of that, it would be more of a 1-year trade. And I think the big part of it is you're saying now we're losing Reilly and maybe only getting Jones or Hamilton for just, or sorry, I think Hamilton's actually free agent this year.
Yeah.
But getting Jones for 1 year, right? So yes, but there's a lot of talk that Sandin can step up into a role like Reilly's, and then you have Sandin and another good defenseman to play with Brody. So it's like it kind of evens everything out. And I think the big thing is with the Leafs power play, the biggest issue is a big shot from the point. They don't have it. There's no big shot from the point. Just a big Seth Jones one-timer from the point. There's no risk there right now with a shot from the blue line with Reilly standing there, or even Sandin. I know we saw Sandin's big shot in the playoffs. It was a nice shot and everything, but it's just that much scarier to have a big guy standing up there, like Hedman, John Carlson, Brett Burns. Those are guys that stand at the top of the blue line in a power play, and they have to get pressured, which opens up the side. So like, it's just something as small as that can change an entire season, change an entire power play. So, and then Sandin could obviously be on the second unit, and they get Kemper, something like that, right? So, it all depends. I think there will be a move made, though.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. Sandin, I feel 100% in the next coming years can step into Reilly's shoes. So on that front, we don't even have to worry about replacing him. Like you said, we can go out, trade Reilly for something else we need, and not fill his spot, because Sandin could easily take over. And we saw that in the playoffs. I mean, like you said, we saw his big shot there, 100 miles per hour. That's pretty good. And even though he's a smaller defenseman, but he proved that he can control that power play, and that was a struggling power play back then. And he showed that, he's ready for that spot. So you don't have to worry about Reilly. Another few key factors that you have to put into this, and I'm just going to say this before I get into those factors. I'm siding on Felly's side. I think they should trade Reilly. But I also have some sympathy for Jude's side as well, and I'll explain that. But the first thing is Kyle Dubas. If he doesn't get past this, at least the second round this year, he's done. He's going to get fired. That's basically an assumption that we can all say is true. And that means he's going to go all out this year. He knows it too. So he's going to fill it right up to the cap. And he's not going to worry about, trading Reilly right now for picks, or getting picks for the future. But I feel like he should, because another thing that, sorry, I just lost track of what I was going to say. But sorry, I remembered now, but I don't think that it's worth 1 year of Reilly for what we could possibly get, right? Because he is a big free agent that would be entering the market next year. And we've seen with Tavares had the opportunity to re-sign and extend his contract with the New York Islanders, but he chose not to, and no one saw it coming. But he never extended his contract when he could have with the Islanders, and came to Toronto. Reilly is a really big name, and he probably would have extended by now if he wanted to with Toronto. Maybe, stuff is in the air with the future and the cap, and maybe Dubas didn't want to, or maybe, it was mutually agreed that they wait till, the cap opens up or something. But I'm guessing he probably would have re-signed if he wanted to be here next year when his contract ends. So that's why I think that he's going to walk, and Kyle Dubas should trade him, right? So you have to look at that, because when the Islanders lost Tavares to us, as much as we were happy and we didn't care, they could have traded him to us and got a lot in return.
Well, the thing is, the Islanders weren't good that year. They're bad. Yeah. So they could have traded him a year before gotten some picks, some prospects, whatever, and then been fine with him walking, right? So it's like you trade to teams that need 1 year kind of rental players that will be willing to give you some future, right? In our case, it's a little different because the future is now. The Leafs need to win this year, this next year, the year after, right? So trading Reilly in his prime doesn't seem like the smart thing to do, but in this case, the smart thing to do is a big change. Everyone's saying the Leafs need a big change. That's the only thing that's going to help. Like Reilly has lost 5 playoff series in a row. He hasn't won a playoff series. So, none of the team has, but something needs to change. Obviously, picking up Brody helped a bit. We were closer to winning the series, I think. So just a big change. And obviously people are like, trade Marner. It's not going to happen, right? That's too big of a change. Marner's on a 5-year deal. He's got 5 years left at $10.5 million. So that's not going to change. No team's taking on that contract either, unless it's Buffalo. But that would be so far-fetched. And the only big change I see coming this year would be something like a 1-for-1 trade, Reilly for Jones, or trading Reilly and a couple picks, getting Kemper, getting rid of Reilly's contract, getting rid of Hyman's contract, and picking up Dougie Hamilton at free agency. Something like that is going to happen, I think. Big right-handed shot. Jones or Hamilton might be a Leaf next year. That's ideal to me. That's a big change. That's a huge change. Both those players are really good players. Reilly is also a good player. It's just a different, it's just different scenery, and that's what the Leafs need in terms of next year.
Yeah, it's better to cash out now.
Yeah.
Than have him walk next year, because we have the replacement for him, and like you said, we need that change. And it has to come on the defensive end with Reilly.
Because the change isn't going to happen on the offense. It's just not. There are replaceable guys. Obviously, I don't want to see Zach Hyman go. That's the last thing I want to see is Zach Hyman go, but he very well might. And it's a very high possibility. That being said, the team can just, it can change. Like Eric is saying, Eric's been a huge advocate of this. You can get a guy like Blake Coleman or Barclay Goodrow, and that can fit into some of the hardworking aspect, down dirty players, right? Someone like that can fit in for Hyman. Obviously, I want to see Hyman come back. It's so hard to say. I want to see Hyman so bad come back, but it might just not be a good fit here anymore.
Well, he only had 1 goal in the playoffs, so
he was injured.
Yeah,
he was injured. He was just coming off an injury, but he was such a big part during the season.
Mm-hmm.
And he scored a lot of goals too. But that's the thing. It's not too easy to find a replacement for a guy like Hyman as it is to find for a guy like Reilly. A guy like Reilly can be replaced by Dougie Hamilton or Seth Jones. Hyman can't be replaced. He's really special. Like there's one guy like Hyman, it's him. So there's not many players. Like McDavid's literally like that, and that's about it. Matthews is the best goal scorer, but Ovechkin's kind of like there's one Hyman in the NHL, to me at least.
Yeah, and I also do feel for Jude, because if we are going all for it this year, we've had obviously a curse, if you would say, but some very unlucky runs, and maybe if we keep this core together one more year longer, just like the Caps did with Ovechkin, then who knows? Maybe we might go all for it. But if you guys don't have any last points, I guess we'll wrap it up here.
The thing is, like, when you say that, it's kind of just rebutting your own point there, because it's Dubas's year right now. He needs to win.
Exactly. That's why I said I still feel sympathy.
So yeah, so trying again with this core is risky.
It is.
Adding a new piece, add some change of scenery, and it's always I don't know. Like even coaching wise, it seems like there should be a change, but there won't be. But we'll see.
Or front office.
Yeah, front office, but that will happen if they lose again in the first round,
Hmm.
right? But the team is getting more experienced. I'm not gonna say they're gonna win a cup next year, but Matthews is 1 year older, Marner's 1 year older, Nylander's 1 year, and these guys they're just getting better. They're not even in their prime. They're 23, 24 years old. They're still 2, 3 years out of their prime. Like they're just getting started. So, um, and Tavares is right there too, just a little out of his prime, but he's still right there. Spezza just re-signed also, which was big. We didn't mention it, but that's big, and that's just a team player right there who's saying that he would sign for less if he could.
Yeah.
So he just wants the team to be good, and he wants to win next year. So you just need a bunch of guys like that to come here and help build the team to become a first round playoff winner. So
Yeah. And who knows? If Montreal can do it, anyone can do it.
literally.
All right. So we'll wrap it up there. That was just a joke, by the way. Montreal fans, please don't get mad at me.
Montreal, you suck.
Let us know what you guys think the Leafs should do with Reilly in this offseason, and anything in the lineup really. Hopefully we'll make a lineup video soon. We appreciate all the support. Make sure you leave a like, and if you're new, subscribe. This has been the Buds in the Box. Bye for now.